Abortion is a big, complicated topic for the upcoming elections. I'd like to take a few moments to talk about abortion as a Jesus follower, but maybe not like you'd expect. I'm not here to talk about what people think is right or wrong or how you should vote, but about the people involved in abortion, primarily just the baby, the mother, and the doctor. How does Jesus feel about each of them? To start, I hope we can all agree that Jesus loves the baby. But what about the mother? What do you think? Some of you might not like this, but yes, Jesus loves the mother too. And you know what? He loves her just as much as he loves the baby. Truly. Let that sink in for a minute. He cares about the well-being of the mother aborting the baby just as much as he does the baby. What about the doctor? Yes, he loves the doctor just as much as the baby and the mother. You may not want to agree with that, but the Bible makes pretty clear that it's true. So what does that mean for us as Jesus followers? It means that whether you are for or against abortion and all that it entails, Jesus calls us to love all those involved, not just the baby. And to be honest, I've been seeing a lot more judgment than I have love lately. Why? Well, to use a Hamilton verse, judging is easy, loving is harder. So how do we love? Let's look at two of Jesus' stories to guide us. First is the story of the woman caught in the act of adultery. By the way, where is the guy in this story? When the religious leaders bring her to Jesus to ask if she should be stoned to death, as the law states, he eventually says to them, "He who is without sin cast the first stone at her." Eventually, they all walk away, and he asks the woman, "Who condemns you?" She answers, "No one, Lord." And he replies, "I do not condemn you either. Go and sin no more." Now, I can already hear some of you arguing, "But Dave, Jesus told her to stop sinning." Yes, he did, but let's take a look at the bigger picture here. First, she calls him Lord. So she's presenting herself as sitting under his authority, or at least acknowledging that he is wise. She knows him or knows of him, and she trusts him. So she's willing to take his counsel in that moment. And then just look what he did for her. He really saved her from likely being stoned to death by the religious leaders. The second story is one most of you know. It's the Good Samaritan. It's the parable told by Jesus in response to a question he received from a young man and said, "Who is my neighbor?" And thus, who should I love is what he meant by the question. And so what are the key parts of the parable? Well, first, a Samaritan who's an enemy of the Jews came upon a man half dead from being robbed and beaten. Jesus says he had compassion on the man. He took care of his wounds and then paid for his care and his recovery. So he did this for someone that was an enemy. The story finishes with Jesus asking, who was this man's neighbor? And the man who originally asked the question responded, "The one who showed him mercy." So how do we love? How do we love the people in this scenario of the abortion, the baby, the mother, and the doctor? By showing mercy, compassion, and love rather than condemnation. We love not by shaming people. We love by hearing their stories and looking to gain understanding. We love by seeing them, seeing the mother and the doctor and seeing their lives and seeing who they are, not just the baby. We love by offering to support the mother. If they're willing to have their baby, are we willing to help them financially? Are we willing to help them with their life, their logistics, etc.? Or do we just want to judge them? In the end, you may have the opportunity to tell them your opinion of what is true or good, but they won't listen to a word you say if they don't know you actually care about them as a person. Like, I'm not here to tell you again how to vote or what you should think about abortion. I just want to remind anyone who is a Jesus follower that he said the world will know we are his followers if we love one another. He wants us to spread his love for a hurting and broken world, and we don't do that through judgment, condemnation, and shame. This is a super hard topic. It's complicated, and there's a lot of aspects to it, but as in everything, live with grace and offer God's grace to those you encounter.